Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And not your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Crisco's Corner. From business and politics. Associated Press, other old bits of Prince Philip make sure to emphasize his racist and sexist remarks. For those that didn't know, Prince Philip, the husband of the current Queen of England, died in his sleep. He was 99. I think somebody said, one of the quotes he made was, I would be horrified to live to 100 years old. So he got his wish. Associated Press received a great deal of pushback on Friday for writing an obituary of England's late Prince Philip that he used racist and sexist language in decades past. He was known for his occasionally racist and sexist remarks and for gamely fulfilling more than 20,000 royal engagements to boost British interest at home and abroad, the AP noted in the third paragraph of the obit. He headed hundreds of charities, founded programs that help British school children participate in challenging outdoor activities, and played a prominent part in raising his 4 children, including his eldest son, Prince Charles, the heir of the throne. Meanwhile, the liberal-leaning BBC only referred to Prince Philip's sometimes off-color remarks and his politically incorrect humor in the network's obituary. This is what I mean. This progressive pound anybody you can, and everybody's a racist, and everybody's this and everybody's that, and this ism and that ism. Guy was 99, he died. Jesus, give it a rest. On a lighter note, back in the early 80s, my wife and I went to, when I was married at the time, my wife and I went to England. And we were by the Tower of London. This huge yacht appeared. And it happened to be right in the front there by the railing there, by the river. And the Queen Mother got off. That is the current Queen's mother. And was shaking hands with people in the crowd. And I always thought it was great to see the Queen Mother. This was back in the early 80s. And I said to her, well, ma'am, it's nice to meet you. And she goes, oh, how nice. An American. I mean, you don't realize we have an accent to other people that aren't Americans, even though it is still English. And so that's my personal royal story. Interaction with the Queen Mother. But, this is ridiculous. The guy was a war hero, naval officer. Let's read on. Prince Philip be mourned as a good man and a friend of Israel and the Jewish people. His mother, Princess Alice, saved the Jewish family from the Nazis in wartime Athens and is buried in Jerusalem at the foot of Mount of Olives. May his memory be blessed, said author Enika Arostin. Now, I really like to show The Crown. I'm not sure how accurate it is. You say, well, he's rich and he's got everything handed to him and the best medical care and the best food and the best houses and the best cars and planes. And yeah, that's all true. But you still got to be happy with your life. You can be miserable. We found out through movie stars or members of the royal family of all nations, or many nations, I should say. Being famous and being in the public spotlight is great, but not if you're unhappy and not if your life isn't fulfilled. And I'm sure he had his difficulties too. It's tough, 99. They say he just drove up until recently, like 10 years ago, he was still driving. I guess he got in an accident. They finally stopped him from driving. He's had some tragedies in his life. His mother was in an asylum. His sister, his older sister, was on a plane that crashed, and when they found the plane, his sister had given birth during the flight. And when it crashed, they were all dead, including the baby. So those kind of things you're not shielded from, even if you are the Queen of England's husband. Prince Philip who always called Istanbul Constantinople, yeah, it's the old, had a fascination with UFOs, and who was, as the Queen still is, a living link to the heroism of generations that lived through the Second World War. Yeah, and this is a great picture right here. I love this photo. The best of the Queen and Prince Philip together I've ever seen. Now, he's dressed in a Beefeater outfit. There's the Queen. That's her husband, Prince Philip. He was the tall, dashing, young naval officer. Handsome, virile, and she's everything. And a lot of the royal family was against the match, and she insisted. And, of course, this is before she was queen, when her father was still alive. And there's just some pictures of him, 1974. That's the year I got out of high school. It shows them in the 60s. Oh, love horses. She's a big horse person, the Queen. You know, she gets a lot of criticism, but I'll tell you the truth. I think she's done extraordinarily well. Coming from basically just post-World War II, when England was going down the toilet, through now, there's a lot of ups and downs and a lot of roller coaster rides. And I think she's handled herself very well. There's a scene in The Crown where she's talking to, I forget his name now, the Duke of Windsor. That's her father's brother, the one that advocated the throne that made her father the king, which now makes her the queen. She wasn't going to be the queen because she was in succession until her uncle abdicated. And she said, "You never said you were sorry." And he says, "I did too. I told your father many times in letters when I advocated I was sorry." She goes, "No, say sorry to me." And he looked surprised. And she said, "Do you think all this responsibility and someone as young as I am and all that is fair?" Basically, I'm paraphrasing. What if I just wanted to have a nice family and just become just a normal English countrywoman? And he turned to her and said, "I'm sorry. People pick to be movie stars. People pick to be famous authors. People pick to be celebrities. Some are just famous for being famous, but they choose all those things. Politicians as well. They choose to run for public office." She saw a sense of duty when her father passed away, and she could have said no. She could have abdicated, but her sense of duty was more important. I think, I'll tell you the truth, I think she would have had a lot happier life had they not been Queen and Prince Philip, but she made that choice. And he stood by her all these years. It's not easy being married to the same person all those years. And the royal family, their Twitter account, as the Queen has announced the death of her beloved husband, His Royal Highness the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Passed away in his sleep at 99. You know, I'll just breeze through this a little bit. Intensely private prince will likely be remembered for his early efforts to help modernize the royal family's image during a time of great change for Britain and the world, especially at the outset of Queen Elizabeth's reign in 1952. Yeah, it was just 7 years after World War II. He also developed a reputation for the occasional brisk comment and crass, if not racist, jokes. Now, that's ridiculous. You can say off color. You know, that's the problem. And I like history, U.S. history especially. Basically, 1830 to 1920 U.S. history. That's the problem with these progressive and leftist morons. They put today's standards of manners and words to times that these people were born in a much different era. To use that same standard is just ridiculous beyond belief, especially on the guy's obituary. They're such asses. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. They're just asses. And then they mention about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Who gives a damn about Oprah Winfrey interview? And are you a racist family? And this is from the U.S. Naval Forces, Europe, Africa, U.S. 6th Fleet. Our deepest condolences to Her Majesty the Queen and the whole royal family. He was a naval officer for many years. Was in several battles, if I'm not mistaken, in World War II. Who served with honor in World War II in both the European and Pacific theaters of war. He was also there at the signing of the Japanese surrender. So that's a hell of a life, I got to tell you. From being an orphan, they smuggled out, I think it was an orange crate or some damn thing as a boy. I think his family were executed. I think Greece and Denmark were the same royal family, and it's hard to figure out. And then when they basically started going after royalty, When he was a boy, they had to smuggle him out of the country in an orange crate. And he shows that he's been ill for a while. They were married in 1947. And he was present at the signing of Japanese surrender in 1945. Weathered Germany's onslaught in England in 1940 and participated in battles at Cape Mataban and Crete, as well as invasions of Sicily. You know, he had a lot of pampered life. And some things you don't have to worry about, paying the rent, money. But you still have to be under that public microscope. And of course, he knew when he married her that she would eventually be queen. And you're right, that's his choice. I think the queen didn't advocate because out of sense of duty. But that's something he chose. I'm not going to deny that, but it couldn't have been easy. It couldn't have been easy when everything you do, from going to the toilet to walking down the street, is scrutinized at every single step. Can't be easy. And he was known, there's rumors going around that he philandered a little bit, but he was a hell of a pilot. I guess he got his pilot's license in record time, I'm told. Fastest of anybody in England, British history. So he was the tall, handsome, virile naval officer. Must have looked great in his Navy dress uniform. And he lived a long and a hell of a life. He was married to the Queen of England for, 72, 73 years? Isn't that something? I'll go back to this picture because I think that is a good picture. Of course, the Queen's laughing. And, the royal family, they say they're stuffy and they're this and they're that. I am attracted to the royal family and that kind of thing because manners, how you carry yourself, how you address other people. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You wear a hat like the old days. You shine your shoes. Even if you were a dishwasher, you look in the old pictures and you see their shoes are shiny. You wore a sport coat, even though it was frayed at all the edges. You still wore it because that's what you could afford in a hat. You had manners and you respected women and you worked hard if you were a man and defended your wife and your family and all those things that now seem to be bugaboo things that only evil racists and blah, blah, blah is and ism this. And, it's ridiculous. Old school manners go a long ways. It's funny. I'll leave you with this. My store here in upstate New York is in kind of a low-income area. And this young black man, he was probably early 20s. And I was counting his bottles. I have a bottle redemption center here. And I was talking to him, and he said, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, sir, no, sir. So when I got done, I gave him his money. I went, by the way, what part of the South were you brought up in? And he laughed, and he goes, how did you know that? I says, because you have manners. He says, oh, my grandmother raised me. If I didn't say yes, sir, or no, sir, she'd cuff me in the back of the head. That's what I'm talking about. So it's sad. It's sad. 99 years old is a hell of a run. That's 35 more years than I am now. I couldn't even imagine. Anyway, folks, I just want to show you some of the asses now, the progressive and leftist morons that can't even stop berating somebody after they're dead. And I shouldn't harp on that because it was a hell of a life, and I think a life well lived. Did way more good than harm by far. And I'm sure the Queen is devastated. Can you imagine being married to somebody for over 70 years, and just like that, they're gone? I can't even imagine what it's like for her. Whether she's the Queen or whether she's the lady that scrubs the floors in the hospital, it's got to be devastating. Absolutely devastating. So my hearts and prayers go out to the royal family, especially the Queen. This might not be popular because the royal family isn't that popular, but I really don't care. And if you don't like it, don't watch this episode and don't watch my channel. And until the next time, folks, goodbye and good luck.